Okay, what's up everybody? Welcome back to a new video. In today's video, I will be reviewing Ultimate Spider-Man issue 23 and 24. This video will contain heavy spoilers for pretty much both issues. I'm pretty much giving a review and going over what happened in them. So if you haven't read those two issues, I really recommend you go do that, and let's get into it. Okay, so I just want to start off by saying they were really good. Issue 23 and 24 could have been combined into one issue, but they didn't. But it's really good. So, issue 23 opens up with MJ furious at Otto for letting Richard go to Fisk Tower with Felicia to install a node, like a power node, and that power node will pretty much stop Kingpin from tracking their family, because at this point they're living underground with the Mole Man. And I really loved this because it made Richard feel more developed, like he's trying to protect his family, but he is still a kid who makes mistakes, obviously. So I really liked that aspect of it, and I feel like that was taken care of really great in this issue. The laser vault scene was great with Richard and Felicia going to the vault and Richard messing up. I like that a lot because it shows he's not perfect, and just showing that he makes mistakes and stuff like that. It's more like iconic Spider-Man moments, if that makes sense. Spider-Man as a kid, I really enjoyed that. Meanwhile, Peter finds out that he went out whenever MJ tells him after going off on Otto. So Peter goes out to find him and save him, which leads to an intense fight with him and Kingpin. One of the best fights in the entire book, besides him versus Kraven. In the start, Kingpin gets the upper hand for most of it, especially with Mr. Negative manipulating Peter's thoughts. So he's sitting there telling him what to do, because that's like what Mr. Negative's powers are. I just really like that, but I kind of wish they didn't have the Mr. Negative part, because I would have liked to see Kingpin and Peter just go toe to toe. I feel like that would have been really cool. And I also just really loved how Peter refused to give up. That moment really shows how far he's come from the beginning of just getting this random spider and not knowing how to do it and struggling in the first couple issues to this. I feel like he handles it great. At the same time, while all of that's happening, Uncle Ben and J. Jonah Jameson are working on exposing Kingpin to New York. That parallel storytelling made everything just feel a lot bigger and grasp. It had like a whole speech going on while they were fighting. It was really awesome. And overall, I would give issue 23 a strong 9 out of 10. That's a lot of issues I give for this series. To have some minor imperfections I feel like could have been fixed, but most of them are really good. Almost perfect. And so if you read issue 23, make sure you put in the comments how you felt about it, and let's get on to issue 24. Okay, issue 24, the finale. The final issue of Ultimate Spider-Man. It starts off picking up right where we left off, with Peter still fighting Kingpin, because last issue, Kingpin at the very end had him on the ground thinking Peter was done for. But Peter is still fighting Kingpin while Richard and Felicia are still trapped in the vault, because where Richard hit one of the lasers, this strange goop Mr. Negative controls starts bonding together and fusing a sort of material like the Biotech suit that Richard wears, and it adapts really fast to turn into a sort of an anti-venom to trap Felicia and Richard while they were stuck. And that ends up giving us an insane Venom-like Richard moment. It was awesome. He uses it to free himself and Felicia, but the material starts learning like how he is. So the more that he fights back, the more the weird goof material learns. So by this point, things get pretty desperate. Felicia gets stopped before she can install the node. She gets really close to installing it, but then the goof gets her like the last second. Richard gets really overwhelmed, so he makes a huge decision. He steps out of the suit that he's bonded with, the Biotech suit, and directly tries to put the node in himself. Meanwhile, while all this is happening, Peter is overcoming Mr. Negative's control and finally defeats Kingpin. As he defeats Kingpin, it shows cameras of what's happening in the vault, and Kingpin drops the hardest line ever. You finally won, Spider-Man, and it only cost you everything. Literal chills when I read that. Literal chills. It was so cool. Peter sees from the cameras that Richard might lose, so he rushes to the vault, and everything that was happening, I guess, between Richard and Felicia was happening like minutes ago, or the camera was delayed. But by the time Peter gets down there, they are safe. They have a sweet moment where they're finally together now, I guess, and it is really sweet, and that's a really cool moment I like in the story. But then after that, Mr. Negative and Kingpin just go to the top of the Fisk building, and where throughout the entire fight, Uncle Ben is exposing Kingpin to the entirety of New York City with J. Jonah Jameson and their online thing in the newspaper. Kingpin learns Mysterio, like the Mysterios now have control over New York, and he swears revenge. And that's where I forgot, oh crap, this is the finale. But I wasn't thinking that while reading it, so I was sitting there thinking, oh, he's probably going to come back stronger and try and defeat Peter. Well, then this kind of came out of nowhere, but I see where he was coming from. Mr. Negative starts mind controlling Kingpin, telling him to jump, jump, jump while he's on the building, and he walks over to the edge, and Kingpin jumps, but he is able to save himself. I guess Kingpin's strong enough mentally to be able to save himself. But whenever Mr. Negative gets the best of him, before he falls, he grabs on the Mr. Negative. Literal chills when I read this. And it shows this panel. Probably one of my favorite pages of a comic book ever. People can call Ultimate Spider-Man overrated all they want. This scene was just so awesome. I really did not see that coming. And then after that, we get some more character moments where Gwen actually leaves Harry, where her Mysterio groups now has control over New York. She's just like, no, I'm done, I'm out. So she pretty much leaves Harry, and Harry turns to Peter for advice on handling stress, asking how he does it. And then we get one of the best scenes in the whole series, Peter and MJ finding out that, oh crap, MJ's pregnant. And even in the chaos, they choose each other, they choose their family. It was really awesome. It was really a sweet moment. One of the reasons why Ultimate Spider-Man is one of my favorite Peter Parkers, because his family dynamic is just so good. His family dynamic is just so good. I love it. And it ends off with Peter, MJ, and the kids going back to their apartment, still not fully finished, but seeing all the memories it has in it. And then Peter reflects that he once thought something was missing in his life, but now he realized he already has everything that truly mattered. Perfect ending. And then we get an homage back to the first issue, but instead of him standing there by himself, he has him, MJ, his daughter, and Richard. So, great ending. I really loved it. And honestly, I think Jonathan Hickman did an amazing job on wrapping this up. You could tell there was more story he wanted to tell, like more storytelling I feel like he could have done, but he had to close it up, and I feel like he closed it up beautifully. 10 out of 10. The only other issues I gave 10 out of 10 in this series were issue 1 and issue 6. I feel like those 3 issues are perfect. The reason why people love Ultimate Spider-Man. And with that, that's the end of my review and everything. If y'all enjoyed this video and y'all want to see me review more comic books in the future, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. I forgot to add this at the beginning, but the reason I'm reviewing both of them at once is because I waited to read issue 23 until I got 24 so I could read them all in one big sitting. But besides that, follow my TikToks and have a good day.